Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna do a little bit of a photo walk because the weather's nice. It's Texas. We don't get a lot of nice weather. So I wanted to get out before it gets too hot. And I do have the Canon R7 with me. I don't normally do any kind of landscape or nature type stuff. So this will be fun, but also maybe a challenge for me, which will be really cool. But don't judge me too harshly. So thought we'd go out, take a few pictures, and then I also wanted to maybe touch on some other subjects as well. So without further ado, let's get shooting. Okay, so I made it down here to this pond, but I had to go through a trail of spiders to get down here. And so I think I might try to find a different way back up, but I went through this like bushy trail here and I got a lot of spiders along the way, but came down from that bridge so I could come down to the creek and take a couple photos. I got some photos of this rock here. We'll see if those are any good. I guess I did knock down all the spiders, but I think I'll try my luck on a different trail back up. Well, it doesn't look like any spiders on this trail, so I think I made a much better call going this way. A couple different options here. Let's keep going up. Okay, so now I want to talk about the tariffs. I know, really casual subject. And I'm starting to sweat because even though it's a nice day, it is still Texas. It's hot, I'm moving. The sun's getting a little bit high, maybe starting to get less ideal conditions for photographs. But I did want to talk about the tariff, the trade war, from a photographer's standpoint. I'm not going to get into the politics, whether you're in favor or against it, but I'm seeing a lot of stuff online about how the smart decision right now potentially is to buy gear while it's still cheap. And I'm not so sure I agree with that statement. We don't know how much prices will go up. I would imagine they will go up a lot, but we don't know for sure because it is very volatile, and you see that in the market. The stock market's jumping, falling, jumping, mostly falling, but it's 10%, then it becomes 40%, then there's a pause, then the pause is undone, then maybe the pause is back and it's being extended. And so it's kind of like back and forth, back and forth. So we don't really have a good idea of what this will actually do to prices, other than to, I think, fairly safely assume that prices will go up. But I'm not 100% sure that hoarding gear now is actually a smart choice. I think if you're someone who already was planning to upgrade in the next couple weeks and you already had gear allocated, it's sitting in the shopping cart, you just haven't clicked buy yet because you're waiting on a coupon or you're waiting on a sale, or maybe you're transitioning where you're living and you don't want to buy it before the move or something like that, then in that case, yeah, maybe it makes sense to purchase that gear now before the prices go up. But I think if you're someone who's just hearing that prices will go up and thinking, I was kind of thinking about upgrading, or I was kind of thinking about getting a new flash or whatever it may be, so I should buy it now, I'm not so sure about that, because I think what that amounts to is panic buying. Even though it maybe feels like I'm making the decision from a standpoint of logic, prices are going to go up, I want to acquire this equipment, I'll buy it now. It seems like a smart choice, but it is ultimately panic buying. It's buying way before you're ready, before you've maybe even done good research into what gear would be appropriate for what your need is. And so, I think the standpoint or the risk is that you spend a bunch of money buying up this gear, and then maybe prices don't go up like you expected, or maybe the gear ends up not really being quite what you needed it to be, right? And then you're regretting it, or you're in a bad financial position, right? Because the other component there is that if prices do go up, it's not just going to be photography equipment, it's going to be a lot of things. And if that ends up being the case, then you could find yourself in a position where you've spent money on something you didn't really need, and then an emergency pops up. You have something happen where you need to spend a bunch of money, and now you don't have as much liquid funds available to be able to do that. So, I think you have to prepare for what you can't prepare for and have some money in reserve. And I just think now is not a good time to buy photography stuff, even though later may be worse. That doesn't make now the best time either. So, I just wanted to kind of propose the alternative there, which is to maybe look at the used market. If you really need to get a flash or some lighting equipment, maybe you go the route of the used market to acquire that. Maybe you just decide not to upgrade or buy new equipment and really look at the equipment you have and say, is this truly not going to get the job done anymore? Or am I just having a bit of gas? I'm just wanting to acquire new gear, or I'm panicking a little bit, and so I'm, making this decision from that standpoint, because ultimately new gear is not going to make you a better photographer. If your gear is truly limited, working within that limitation is what will make you a better photographer. Especially if it's something like, well, my camera's only got 16 megapixels and the new camera's got 40 megapixels, that's not going to make a huge difference to whether the image you produce is actually interesting or not. If it's my camera only has 4K 30 cropped and this other camera has 4K 60 uncropped, that's still not going to make a difference in terms of whether your video is interesting. So do you actually need those things? You can't get your project done without those things? Or are they just nice to have and you feel that pressure to have those upgraded features? So I think if that's the case, working within the limitation is gonna make you a better photographer. And maybe the mindset is to change it to say, if I upgrade, I'm gonna make myself a worse photographer. And if I keep the gear I have, I'm gonna actually improve as a photographer. And so that's the desired gear to have, is the more limited equipment, you know, just a thought. But I think that's my take on it. Don't panic buy, even though there's a lot of uncertainty, you know, really think about what you're doing in that case and act accordingly. So just some thoughts to share with you guys as I go on this walk. Another thing I'm thinking about as I'm walking around out here, outside of just the spiders, which I literally, funny enough, see one right up here in my way. So I'm gonna go hopefully around it. But also, there we go. It's snake season, I'm pretty sure we're entering. So gotta be on the lookout for mainly rattlesnakes and copperheads, but also even coral snakes. A lot of poisonous snakes out here. So gotta be careful. Look at me doing my basic boy nature photography shots, because I don't really know how to do nature photography. But hey, Canon R7. I think we're getting close to some more water, so that's pretty exciting. Let's go check it out. There's some water. All right, so I think finding this water here at the end is where I'm gonna leave it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the photos that I took. Obviously, I'm not a landscape photographer, but you know, it was fun to go on a little photo walk and share some thoughts. And you know, if you liked the video, please do give me a thumbs up, helps out the channel a lot. I know what I talked about could be a bit controversial, or people might have some thoughts, opinions that they want to share. So please be respectful if you do, but you can always drop those in the comment section below. And then ultimately, if you enjoy this content, or if you want to see more content like this, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, and that'll keep you in the know for when the next video drops. But for now, I'm Colton. I'll see you in the next one.